What's up guys, and in this video I'm going to show you how to do queries in Google Spreadsheets. So queries are pretty easy to understand if you just kind of think of it in a different way. Queries are basically like requests. So let's say you have all these cars, right? And you don't want to see all of them, you just want to see the cars that are from 2009, okay? So it's like making a request to see just cars from 2009 from this set of cars, okay? So if you think of queries like that, it's a little bit easier to understand. So what we're going to do is we're just going to run our first query. Equals query, and we're going to select the data that we want to query from. So I'm going to select column A through C. You could click on them or just type in the letters, either way. And then our query is a statement written in words uh, inside of a string, which just means double quotes and then some text inside. Okay. So we're going to select. That is means we're gonna. It means what it says basically. Select everything. The asterisk means every column of the data. So we're going to select column A, B, and C, where C equals 2009. So just like that, that's basically how queries work, is you're saying what you want to see out of this set of data. So that's what we got out of all of these 1,000 rows. We're just looking at cars from 2009. Now let's say you want to see cars that are 2009 or greater. Well, that's easy. You can just go back to your query, which is in the top left cell, okay, of your data that you got back. And then you're going to say where C is greater than or equal to 2009. And now you can see we've got all of the cars that are either 2009 or greater. And that's from the same set of data. So query works like this. You write equals query to tell Google Sheets that you want to do a query. And then you tell it these are parameters. If you look at this little hint box here, it tells you the building blocks of a query. First is your set of data, and you can see when I click over on the set of data that I selected here, it tells me the coordinates of the data essentially is column A through C, and you can also see that it's highlighted here in the parameters field. And then you've got your actual query, which is like a statement made up of words that are kind of easy to understand. And you can see I said select everything, which means column A, B, and C, where column C is greater than or equal to 2009. So those are kind of your building blocks of a query. Now, one other thing that you could do is say, well, I want to look at all the cars in a certain order. Like I want to see from 2009 up, and I want to look at all the cars from 2009 first, 2010 second, and so on. So what we're going to do is add a little bit more to that statement. We're going to say order by C, column C, ascending. So now you can see here that we're looking at all the cars that are from 2009 or greater in the order of the year, ascending. Okay. Now let's say we just want to look at Fords, okay? So let's go select everything where C is greater than 2009 and A is equal to Ford. Do I have to put quotes around that? Let me see. I probably do. There we go. So you can see here, I'm selecting everything where the C column is greater than or equal to 2009 and A, which is the make column, is equal to Ford, and I'm still ordering it in ascending order. So this is really the basics of doing a query, but I'm going to show you just one or two more things here. Let's say I want to make a query from a different sheet, okay? Well, let's say I have my main sheet here, okay? And then I have my query sheet. I just named it query. And you can add another sheet and name it something else like query 2, okay? And sometimes it might be easier to think of a query as a request, but then you could just name your sheets kind of like query names. So, for example, you want to see Fords 2009 or greater. Okay, so you can name your sheet that, and then you could just take your query. I'm going to control X there. We're going to go here, and we're going to paste it. And you can see we're getting an error here. It's query completed with an empty output. That's because we need to tell it what sheet that we're looking at. You can see currently it's trying to still run the query as I created it before, which is columns A through C. But now we're on a new sheet, so we need to make sure to reference the old sheet. The way we do that is we put the sheet name and then an exclamation point. And we leave column A through C the same way it was. And now you can see that it's showing us exactly the same query here. And remember, our query populates from the first cell and then to the right and down. So select column A, B, and C, right? A through C. Select all of them, A, B, and C, where C is greater than or equal to 2009 and A is equal to Ford, and then ordered by C ascending. So it's sort of, the queries themselves are sort of written in a sort of understandable, readable language. It's kind of like English, just plain English, And this is what it's going to come out looking like. Now, queries are very powerful. You can do a lot more things with them. You could say, I don't want to look at all the columns. I just want to look at column A and C. Okay. Now you can see we have just Ford and then the year. And it's still pulling from the same set of data, but it's no longer getting column B. It's just getting column A and column C, as you can see right here. So we're only selecting column A and column C. So there's just a couple of important rules to remember. You can't put a manual, let's say I wanted to put 2010 or 2001, right? Let's say I wanted to just say, well, let me do this real quick. Let's go back and select A, B, and C again. Let's say that you're looking at your query and you're like, well, hold on a second. The Ford Fusion didn't come out till 2013, so I want to change this to say 2013. So you think, okay, I'm just going to go over here and manually put in 2013. But look what happens. If you try to put a cell, if you try to put a number in the cell data and it's in the middle of the query results, then you're going to get an error. You can't do that. You can't just manually put in an entry in the middle of where your query was populated. So you have to leave room for the query to fully expand out. Now, if you really wanted to change something, you need to go back to the original set of data, which is this one. Okay? When you go back to main, and you would actually have to find the the cell that you want to correct. So if you know that the Toyota Avalon didn't come out till the year 2000 and you wanted to change that, you'd need to change it in your original set of data, which is right here. So then that's where we would change that. And so when I do a query, now this will have the updated information. And then the other thing about queries is that they're always running on a loop. So anytime information gets updated, it will also update in your query. So if you look at the Ford Expedition 2009, let's look for it. So if we look at this Ford Expedition 2009 right here, and then we change this to have an F in there, like it'll say ELF instead. And then we go back here, you can see it's running on a constant loop, so it's always checking for updates to the information. You can see that it's been updated. And if I go back and I take it back out, you can see it instantly goes back. So yep, that is just some of the basics of queries, and I hope that helps.